Hey guys, welcome back to Obsessed with Videos for another update. This time it's a multimedia update as I've got 2 DVDs, 2 standard Blu-Rays, 1 4K Blu-ray, 2 cinema tickets, and 1 film poster, which is actually the first one from the newly formed OWV Cinema, which is the successor to the former Wilfrid Cinema, that I used to include posters from on this channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started with the 2 DVDs that I've got in this update. Now, both of these releases are Universal ones that are distributed by Warner Brothers Home Entertainment. And the first one is Last Seen Alive, starring Gerard Butler, a Sky original. He'll stop at nothing to get her back. Anyway, there's the front, the spine, and the back. The film was also co-produced by Voltage Pictures, Perfection Hunter, and G-Base, which is Gerard Butler's production company, which also produced some of his other films like the Has Fallen trilogy, Hunter Killer, and also this year's Plane, which I actually saw at the cinema back in February of this year. Anyway, this is a release from October 2022. And there's the disc itself. And the other one is The Bad Guys from DreamWorks Animation. Front, spine, and back. Apparently this film was only released on DVD, like it hasn't got a Blu-ray release in this country, even though I know it was released on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K in the United States and Canada, and possibly in some other countries as well. Like, I know there was a Blu-ray release in France as well. And I think this is probably the first DreamWorks film to not have a Blu-ray release since Flushed Away in 2006. In fact, I can think of a few DreamWorks animation films that haven't got a Blu-ray release in this country as of yet. And they are Ants, The Prince of Egypt, which has already got a 4K release in the United States. Chicken Run, even though Pathé released it in the United Kingdom, so therefore Warner Brothers would probably still be distributing it in the UK since they distribute titles from Pathé now. And Road to El Dorado doesn't have a Blu-ray release in the UK and Ireland yet, nor does Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron, even though Spirit Untamed has a DVD and Blu-ray release in this country. And also Sinbad Legend of the Seven Seas, Shark Tale, Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, Over the Hedge, and finally Flushed Away. And another DreamWorks release that has recently come out that's not getting a Blu-ray release is Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, which just recently came out in cinemas, but but apparently is DreamWorks' biggest box office bomb ever, even more so than Mr. Peabody and Sherman, Penguins of Madagascar, and also Rise of the Guardians as well. That was a flop for them. And I think Turbo was as well. And at this point, I'm not sure whether I'll get the chance to watch Ruby Gillman. Whether I'll get the chance to watch Ruby Gillman at the cinema yet. I'm not sure. Otherwise, I might just wait till it comes out on either DVD or possibly just rent it from video on demand, or wait till it comes out on a streaming service like Netflix. I'll just have to wait and see. I'll see how things go. But it's not set in stone. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. But anyway, back to The Bad Guys now. There's the disc itself, which apparently doesn't have the DreamWorks logo on the disc. It just has the Universal Home Entertainment, even though it has the DreamWorks logo on both the back and on the spine. I'm glad they managed to get it right on both this and also on Spirit Untamed, Boss Baby Family Business, and Puss in Boots: Last Wish. Oh, and I forgot to mention the 2 Universal releases the two DreamWorks releases from Universal that only have the Universal logo on the spine, and those were ones that I actually own, and they were Trolls World Tour and The Crew to New Age. Anyway, now onto the standard Blu-rays that I've got, in which the first one is Emma, based on the beloved classic by Jane Austen and starring Anya Taylor-Joy, and directed by Autumn de Wilde. This is another Universal release, this time from 2020. So it's, as you can tell by the fact that it has the category number on there, it's one of the releases from Universal that was released before their title started being distributed by Warner Brothers, because it also says distributed by Universal Pictures UK Limited instead of distributed by Warner Brothers Entertainment Limited, which is what they've been doing nowadays on their releases since 2021. And it's also one of the first Universal releases on home media to have the new the current U rating, the current BBFC certificates. I think this might actually be the first one, because I think the last ones included Cats, the 2019 film that was a disaster, and also other Universal releases that were some of the last to have the old certificates, like The Lighthouse and Queen and Slim. But I think this is one of the first ones to have, I think Emma's one of the first ones, or possibly the first one from Universal to have these new certificates. Other releases followed with this, like The Invisible Man and also Dark Waters, which was from Entertainment One, but Universal still distributed it on home media, as they've done with all Entertainment One titles since 2019, or since August 2019 with the release of Wild Rose. This is a film, anyway, Emma's a film that is produced by Universal Pictures, Focus Features, Working Title, and Blueprint Pictures, and also Perfect World Films. Even though their logo doesn't appear on the cover, it appears at the start of the film. And there's the disc itself, rated U in the UK and PG in Ireland, just like the 2019 Cats, which was also from Working Title as well. I think Emma was probably a better success than Cats was, despite the fact that, well, I'm not sure if it would, critically it would have been more of a success, might have been more of a success, but I'm not sure how well it did financially, especially because it was released like a month or just a couple of weeks before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, where all the lockdowns started. And the other standard Blu-ray that I've got in this update is Strange World, the most recent film from Walt Disney Animation Studios, and one of their biggest box office bombs in history as well. More so than their films they released in the 2000s, like Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and Treasure Planet. And on the flip side, it's also the first film to feature the 100th anniversary Walt Disney Pictures logo, the one that's been used since 2022 onwards. After that, Disney started using it on some of their other films, like the live performance of Encanto that was released on Disney Plus in December of last year, and also a few other Disney Plus originals like Chank and Dunk, Crater, and also the Peter Pan and Wendy film that came out. And they've used it on a few theatrical films like The Little Mermaid remake, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and Pixar's Elemental. Anyway, as mentioned, this is a Disney release. It actually came out back in February of 2023. Or February of this year, should I say, because we're still in 2023. We're in July 2023 now. It's also got the Disney Classic slipcover. And it's also in a thin case as well. From the studio that brought you Encanto and Big Hero 6, as well as other films too, like Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Zootropolis, Moana, and so on, and also Raya and the Last Dragon and the upcoming Wish, which comes out in November. There's the disc itself. This is actually the second release that I've got with one of these new Disney cases. The other one I got was Amsterdam, which I got about an update ago, or a few updates ago. Anyway, as I said, there's the disc itself. Blue disc, which is what Disney's been doing with their Blu-ray releases for years now. Speaking of Strange World being a box office bomb, even Pixar's Elemental's been a bit of a box office bomb lately. Disney, in general, has just been releasing films that have been underperforming, which is a little bit concerning to say the least for the studio. They haven't had a billion-dollar hit since Avatar: The Way of Water last year, or even a massive hit since Avatar: Way of Water last year, which was from 20th Century Studios, but still technically Disney, but yeah. I bet Disney's now longing for the days like in 2019 when they had consistent billion-dollar hits like the Aladdin remake, the Lion King remake, Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, the Marvel films that came out that year like Captain Marvel and Avengers Endgame, and also Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. I bet they're longing for those days now. And now onto the 4K Blu-ray that I've got, which is I Am Legend, starring Will Smith. This is a Warner Brothers release. The 4K was originally released in 2016. The film was originally released in 2007, but apparently this is a repackaging from 2021 due to new certificates, current Warner Brothers logo from 2019 onwards. And even on the cover, it has a copyright date of 2021. So this is a repackaging from 2021. And it's also a co-production between Warner Brothers Pictures, Village Roadshow Pictures, Overbrook Entertainment, and Weed Road Pictures. There's the 4K disc, the original 2016 one, and the standard Blu-ray, which is apparently a repackaging due to the blue disc design, which Warner Brothers wasn't using on their Blu-rays back on its original release in presumably 2008, because the film came out in cinemas in December 2007, so therefore it wouldn't see a home media release until until sometime at the start of 2008, like around April-May time. And you can tell it's a re-release as well because the Village Roadshow, because it has the print logo for Village Roadshow Pictures that was used from 2012 to 2019, because back in 2007 and 8 they would have been using that one, the one that was used from like the possibly during the 80s until 2012. Although it doesn't say when this new repackaging for the Blu-ray disc was. Presumably it was around the same time as the film's 4K release in 2016, but I don't know. And now onto the 2 cinema tickets that I've got in this update. And the first one is No Hard Feelings, released by Sony Pictures under the Columbia Pictures label. This is actually the second film I've seen from Sony at the cinema this year, after 65, which I saw back in March of this year. Because there have been a few films that have been released by Sony over this year that I planned to see, but I just never got around to watching it. And there were a few that, and I'll list some of them that I might have seen, like, I'm just trying to think. Well, there was Missing, which was released under the Screen Gems and Stage 6 labels. There was Suzume, which was released through Crunchyroll. There was Love Again, which was released under Screen Gems. Sisu, that was released under Stage 6. And possibly Demon Slayer to the Swordsmith Village, which was also released through Crunchyroll. So it's been like 3 months since I've last seen a Sony film at the cinema. But anyway, it's good that I'm glad that I managed to watch another one at the cinema, even if it's one released under their most used label and the most mainstream one, Columbia Pictures. Still fine with that. It's nice when you get to see a studio logo on the big screen, regardless of which one it could be. Anyway, this film was rated 15. I saw it at Cineworld in Castleford on July 11th, 2023 at 12:30pm, and I was in Screen 8 and I was in row H and seat 15. If you want to know the trailers I saw in front of it, of this film, they include Strays, Joyride, trying to think about what else, Gran Turismo, and the Barbie movie as well, the one with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. And the other cinema ticket that I've got in this update is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the 5th and final installment of the long-running Indiana Jones franchise, which has been running for like 42 years because Raiders of the Lost Ark was released back in 1981. Also, on a side note, this is the second Indiana Jones film that I've seen at the cinema after Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull back in 2008. Even though I was like 4 or 5 at the time when I saw that movie, I still kind of remember going to the cinema to watch it. And I think it was also the first 12A rated film that I saw at the cinema, because in later years, that would be followed by films like Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, Transformers Dark of the Moon, Transformers Age of Extinction, and basically all of the Transformers films from Revenge of the Fallen onwards. And in between those, I did see a couple of other 12-rated films at the cinema, like, trying to think, Fun Size, which was the film from Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon Movies that came out back in 2012, and also Playing for Keeps, which was released at the start of 2013 by Millennium Films and Lionsgate, and a few others along the line. It really wasn't until 2016, though, that I started really going to more 12-rated films. Anyway, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny was produced by Walt Disney Pictures because the Disney 100 logo appears at the start, even though in short form. Paramount Pictures as well, because their logo appeared at the start, in short form though as well. And also Lucasfilm, the first time that they've released a film since Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker in 2019, which was $1 billion hit. But sadly, this one, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, seems to be a flop for both Lucasfilm, for Paramount, and for Disney. I kind of pity for Disney at the moment, not because they're a $1 billion corporation, but it would be nice to actually see another $1 billion hit from Disney again, just like we had in 2019. Anyway, the trailers that I saw in front of this film, this is possibly the most amount of trailers I've seen in front of a film throughout this year. The previous record holder was the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which had 5 trailers, which I think were Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Blue Beetle, Transformers Rise of the Beast, Elemental, and Fast X. This one had more trailers than that. Like, this one had the Barbie movie, Oppenheimer, the trailer, as well as an IMAX featurette for the film, Gran Turismo, Expendables 4, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, even though that film came out on the Monday of that week. I still ended up seeing a trailer for it, like Cineworld assumed that it would have been coming out on the 14th. They still showed the trailer nonetheless. And the final trailer that I saw in front of this film was Haunted Mansion, the new one, which will be coming out in August. Anyway, this film was rated 12A. I saw it at Cineworld in Castleford on as I mentioned, July 13th, 2023 at 12 p.m. and I was in screen 13 and I was in row F and seat 4. And now onto the OWV film poster which I've got in this update, which is Sisu, which I mentioned earlier as one of the Sony Pictures films that I ended up missing out on at the cinema this year. But at least I managed to do a film poster for it through OWV Cinema. Anyway, the film is rated 15, and it was released by Sony Pictures Releasing International, Sony Entertainment, and Stage 6 Films. The film was originally released in 2022. It was released in the UK on May 26, 2023, and it was distributed, as mentioned, by Sony Pictures Releasing International. So that concludes this update, and stay tuned for more videos coming soon. See you later!